Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. If it's Friday, it's Friday and time for Total Health Live. I am Dr. Christopher Vogelmann.
And I am Monika Klein.
Yes, you are. And I
call
you nutritionist. Here. I call you nutritionist to the stars and noted nutritionist.
I was using my microphone, but I'm not going to do props for a while because of the catastrophe a couple of weeks ago. But I like this little microphone, but yeah. So anyway, hello and welcome for another Friday. Entertainment, yet infotainment, yet edutainment.
More for your infotainment.
Health attainment. Health attainment really is what we're all about.
Oh, you know what? I didn't plug in my microphone. No wonder it's not working.
Oh, so maybe that I cued into your lack of microphonic sound.
I try to save electricity.
I don't even know if microphonic is a word, but
it probably is, like hydroponic, microphonic, audio.
Yeah.
Is that better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, there's your radio. There's your radio voice now.
The radio voice is here, and the time is 1:04 p.m. and the temperature is a lovely 68 degrees.
Well, our temperature is about 90 degrees yesterday and today. So it's, I've got the fan out. I pulled the fan out after its hiatus, its winter hibernation. But yeah, it's warm, but I think it's cooling down again tomorrow to a nice 70, 75.
A lovely 75.
Yeah. So that's good. That's very good.
So you got me checking the weather. See I guess the temperature did rise here. I don't know. Anyway, but hopefully you're staying cool or staying warm, whatever your desired temperature is right now. Yeah. And we're going to talk about a bunch of things.
I don't really want to stay warm, but
you don't want to stay warm?
No, I want to be cooled off.
I've been. Oh, actually, it's 82 now. Oh, get that! It was 64. I went on my walk this morning. It was 64, and I was slightly chilled because of the breeze. And so it's 82. Well, the air conditioners are nearby, but I don't want to stick them in yet. So,
okay.
All right. So enough with our temperature modulation, unless of course you have some hormonal imbalance or you're getting hot flashes or things like that. So.
Well, interesting that you should mention that because in COVID news, there have been some reports on thrombocytopenia, which is a platelet issue, with women under 50, perimenopausal women, actually. And so they're seeing that. And the interesting thing in Israel with the J&J, they're seeing myocarditis in males 16 to 30 years old, and it's 1 in 20,000. So that is a little
that's a lot higher,
concerning. And so there was some discussion, or there was like a focus more on, the myocarditis was a Pfizer reaction for the males, and
I'm looking for ventilation. I'm not abandoning you.
Actually, sorry. So it was myocarditis with the Pfizer vaccine and thrombocytopenia. So myocarditis in males, young males under 30, myocarditis with the Pfizer, and with the women just under 50, it was a reaction to the J&J. So they thought maybe switching those, having the males taking the J&J and the women taking the Pfizer might alleviate some of those severe side effects.
Did it? Or they haven't done it yet?
No, they haven't done it yet, but they're speculating on that.
That's an interesting. That's a very interesting study.
Yeah, it's interesting because, there has to be some sort of correlation between, especially if they are finding numbers like that, especially, what did I say? 1 in 20,000. Yep. There is, it's significant enough for them to be seeing that maybe if we switch this, it might work better. But again, we don't know yet. We have to see. Yeah.
Okay. So anything else? Something about American disabilities? Yeah. I don't know. That's a side note. Okay. I was reading something different. I was reading something totally different.
Nothing for
nothing for the show. It was a different note.
So there
people are
continues to
hesitant.
be
Yeah.
some vaccine hesitancy, and the numbers, the vaccinations are plummeting in the U.S. So I believe it's 50% so far, but so that continues to happen, especially when there's all this press about the side effects, and not only the press but the actual reality that this is happening, as I alluded to or spoke about quite extensively last week about the clotting disorder. Not as rare. I mean, this thrombocytopenia issue with women is definitely also significant. So the more people are vaccinated, the more data we get and can ascertain what needs to be done going forward.
Ascertain is such an interesting word.
It is an ascertain.
I'd rather entertain than ascertain, but that's my preference. So hesitancy continues. I mean, it's interesting. There's a study, not a study, but this is anecdotal evidence. There was a nurse not too long ago who got the Pfizer, I believe, which is like 94% effective. And she got both shots. One of her daughters got the shots too, because I think they're both in healthcare. But she got COVID. Both of them got COVID, and the entire family got COVID after. But because
the first shot or the second?
After the second shot. But here's the thing: a vaccine that's 90% effective means at 10% of the time it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And that's the reality of all of them. I mean, the flu vaccine is like somewhere between 52 to 60% effective, which is why a lot of people get flu vaccinations and still catch the flu almost every season. And J&J, I think, is in that range of 60%.
I always find it interesting because you've never been vaccinated, and to me, sometimes you sound pro-vaccination. So are you?
I believe it's an individual choice. I'm actually quite intrigued with the Pfizer and Moderna with the messenger RNA, mainly because having studied a lot of genetics and spent a lot of time doing genetic testing on people, in particular because the German scientists who are working on this did that for 20 years before it actually has been applied to a vaccine. I'm still intrigued by it, and I'm just waiting for a little bit more information. This may be the first vaccine I ever take in my life. So
what's interesting, and a lot of people, they'll take it if they have to for one reason or another. But it's interesting, this whole thrombocytopenia. Now, would someone who has that proclivity, would they be a good candidate for a vaccine at all? If they have an issue with thrombocytopenia, whether it's idiopathic or what, would they be exempt from having to take it, considering some of these clearly clotting issues?
I think that's where a very thorough case history comes in, as well as
I
believe people need genetic testing too, but privacy issues often freak people out about doing genetic tests. So.
But even with a genetic test, that will just show you a clotting predisposition to clotting, not necessarily a thrombocytopenia concern. So anyway, I think that's an interesting thing to consider. And so the news just keeps coming. I mean, there's a lot of good news, and of course we're very concerned about what's been going on in India. And it's interesting that the U.S. is accepting flights from India still as we speak, which is not a good idea, I don't think. Probably
not. It's just like it was the funny isn't a strange thing to me, is all the odd, funny, strange, as opposed to funny, haha, is that back, I guess it was February of last year, flights were cut off from China, but a lot of flights were coming in from Europe, and it was the European variant that wound up landing in New York and spreading throughout the country. And now it's the UK variant is the most prevalent one. So it's interesting. You would have to actually cut off all traffic from everywhere in order to do this. And the problem that faces us is that we have a worldwide economy, and it is we're all interlinked with one another, and it's very difficult to control all travel 100%. It only takes. You could have one person from India coming on a boat after you've banned all flights, and that could be a person. So
the odds are less, than letting everybody in from India. I mean, if you have an epidemic in like a focal area, like a very concentrated area, you want to do everything you can to prevent transmission. I mean, I know last year Canada, and I don't know if they've lifted this yet, they were not allowing Americans to come because it was so rampant here in this country.
It has not been lifted as far as I know.
Yeah. So, but as far as I know, I have a good friend who was working with the airlines, and Americans were coming across the border, unfortunately. But they've actually tightened much more in the last 6 to 8 months than they did when it first started. And I know a lot of that requires, administration and organization and all of that to make it, to implement it. I understand that piece, but when it was necessary is really when it should have been happening. When it was really necessary, when it was, well, I won't use the word epidemic proportions because it's still in that state, but when the numbers were, higher than
we are in our 4th spike still, and interestingly enough, it's changed a bit because the ones that were prevalent, was it 2 weeks ago? It was Florida and Michigan. So Michigan was back as number 1, and you think about it, all the spring breakers who went to Florida from Michigan came back to Michigan. So,
yeah, I mean,
patterns. And California is the safest place now. Go figure.
Here's an interesting thing, with this hesitancy and the vaccinations plummeting. It's almost like if you're not going to do what you should be doing, cases will rise. Like that's sort of like this plus this equals this. But does it? Does it really?
We need about 25 to 30% more in terms of the so-called herd immunity. Whether we get there or not, I don't know. And the reality is there are going to be the longer this goes on, the more there are going to be different variants from different parts of the world. Watch, there's going to be a New Delhi version at one point. It'll be like, and then, that's the prevalent one in the United States.
Get it at your deli, the New Delhi variant.
Your New Delhi. Be careful. Be sure to wear your mask at the deli so you don't catch the New Delhi. So
it'll be on your hot dog.
Hot dog. Get your hot dogs here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it continues on and on and on. And the only motto I have is we just don't know.
Play it safe.
That's the motto.
I tell you, we're still going to be wearing masks, I believe, into 2022. In certain situations. That's all.
I hope not. I had to wear it 4.5 hours in the hospital last week, and I actually thought it would be worse. But once you're wearing it, you're so busy doing all these other things that you forget you have it on.
I have a couple of friends who are surgical nurses, and it's the same story. I was on a panel last Saturday with 2 Harvard orthopedic surgeons, which was really interesting. We actually got along great. I was so surprised. And
why?
They were a bit because when the only tool you have is a knife, you see every problem as surgical. That has been my experience in the past. At least it was true 15, 20, 30 years ago. And so, you've got this problem. You need to cut that. But these 2 were very conservative. They still did surgeries, but surgery was definitely a last resort for them. They were huge advocates of exercise. Yeah, and I was very impressed with that.
My orthopedic surgeons that I've worked with, like in the last 5 or 6 years, because I've had some knee injuries, some ankle injuries, etc. They're always conservative. I mean, that's the last resort. And fortunately, I haven't had to do any of that. And
one of them was extremely conservative because he was ready to take on all the Harvard liberals. So I thought that was funny. Anyway, but that's conservative in more than one way. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Well, yeah. Conservative we want in a surgeon for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, do we go to questions now, do you think? Or
why not?
All right.
I think that's COVID news. It's a wrap.
This week in COVID news has been brought to you by Coaching for Health. Coaching for Health. Your health is wealth. Try Coaching for Health.
Yes, I could start bringing some supplements out, but
No, don't do it. I'm afraid.
They're sponsors. We don't have them as sponsors yet. So
yeah, later we'll do the sponsor. So we'll just have you as the sponsor right now. Hey, I was just talking to someone from the great state of Texas this morning, and the funny thing is, it really hurt. No, I was talking to Heidi. This is Debbie from Dallas. I was really talking to someone named Heidi from Dallas who had just recently moved to New Orleans. So I was just so funny to see Dallas mentioned here.
There you go, Debbie in Dallas.
Debbie in Dallas. So I don't know if this is a question or not, Debbie. She says, can't kick the sweets - helps ! I'm assuming, Debbie, you're looking for help from Monika.
Helps.
You
need lots of help.
Helps me's.
Yelps and helps. Can't kick the sweets. Well, you're not alone. There's a lot of people
Don't put them in the house, Debbie.
There's a lot of people that have that issue. But if you want to think about it, sweets, is it the physiological sweet effect you get from a food, whether it's a food or a pseudo food, or is it sweetness in life that you're missing? Is there something that's missing in your life that whether you're stressed, whether you're traumatized by whatever is happening in your life, maybe in a psychosocial way, what you might want to think about is bringing sweetness back into your life. What sweet things can you do for yourself or even for others? What sweet things can you bring into your life? And another word for sweet would be gentle, nurturing, soothing, comforting. It doesn't need to be food. It can be an experience. It could be a feeling. So I would sort of propose that to you, to start thinking of it in that way rather than sweet candy, cakes, cookies. We were talking earlier just a few minutes ago about genetics. There is a genetic factor when it comes to a sweet tooth or sweet cravings. So however you can overcome it, your genetics are only 50% of the equation. And the more you have of it, we're talking about the sweet foods now, the more you have it, the more you want. So think about foods that actually have a sweet aftertaste, like nuts will do that. Fish will do that. Grains will do that. And they don't have to be grains in a cake. They could be, like my favorite thing almost every morning, I have this rice porridge that I make. And it's just so nourishing and satisfying. And there's a little bit of this jaggery, which is a raw cane sugar that has a sort of a molasses flavor to it. It's an Indian cane sugar product. And some raisins, and that's it. And it just leaves me so satisfied.
You don't have millet from the skillet in the morning?
I have rice flakes. They're called rice flakes. Yeah. So they're rice, and they, instead of oatmeal, they're rice, and they're less gluten. Well, there's no gluten. So if you're concerned about gluten, this is the perfect thing to have instead. So you can get them. You can get them on Amazon and India shops and Asian shops. So, yeah.
So your advice is to stick with rice because of its sweetness?
Well, grains in general. It could be millet, quinoa, or, and if you're, not opposed to having some gluten, also any grains will leave a sweet aftertaste. Rather than going for sugar, too much sugar, or the intensity of sugar.
Sweet child of mine.
See, I'm not letting you sing. Did you notice that?
Sad. I was like, I'm hearing Boston in my head. Oh, what a feeling.
and that's interesting too, because singing brings sweetness to your life too. I love singing, and it sounds like you do too, Christopher.
Singing in the rain. We just don't have enough rain.
And dancing and moving. Those are wonderful things.
There's not enough rain here.
No, there's not enough rain. We did have, I think, 5 minutes of rain on the full moon night the other night. It was 5 minutes. It's like I heard the pitter patter of the raindrops outside, and that was nice and refreshing for 5 minutes.
It wasn't the pitter patter of little feet in the house.
No, it was pitter patter of lovely raindrops. And then we had a fire just up the road yesterday. So that was not good either.
They should have scheduled the raindrops along with
They should have. They didn't coordinate.
It would have been better.
The heavens did not coordinate.
Gosh. Hey, so from up the road, hopefully, Debbie, that does well for you. In terms of some advice. I think one of the things is just you keep it out of the house. That's been one of my experiences.
Yeah.
I think I last had ice cream, when was it? On my birthday, or certainly after my birthday. I think the 27th of February.
This year or last year?
This year.
Oh, you had some this year.
Oh, yeah.
It is true. Don't have it around, out of sight, out of mind, because if you're tired, if you're stressed, that's exactly what you're going to reach for.
It's funny too, because I've even had, we stash some things in different places, and I know exactly where they are, and I'll touch them because the desire is not there. I think once you remove them, even if they're in your presence, if the desire has dissipated, you'll find that it's not that much of an issue.
3 days for the physical desire, 30 days for the emotional desire.
I guess I'm in an emotional void right now. Probably.
You're emotionally.
I have zero desire. Zero
desire. You're emotionally immune and stable.
I am zen. I am free of desire. So we know that some of our friends in Washington State are not free of desire. Here's Jean from Everett, Washington. She says, I am awakened by outside distractions through the night. The dog, the neighbors. Is it your dog? I'll find it out later. My dog. Oh, it says my dog. I said the dog. The neighbors, traffic noise, my husband snoring, and so forth. I fear this disrupted sleep is causing me to hold on to weight. I am holding on to the weight I'm carrying because I've heard cortisol and insulin levels get affected. What do you suggest besides Sominex?
Oh, everyone, Sominex. I haven't heard that.
Take Sominex tonight.
I haven't heard that word forever. For how many years? 20?
Safe and restful sleep, sleep, sleep. Yeah, I'm a child of TV. That's for sure.
Well, everyone always says earplugs. So there's only a certain amount of things that you can do. These seem to be like a lot of things out of your control, unfortunately. And yes, you are absolutely right. Your hormonal levels will be affected if you're getting this constant barrage of noise throughout the night. So I'm not sure what you can do about your dogs. Your dog.
Divorce does solve the husband problem, but I'm assuming, Jean, you love your husband, and you're not going to get rid of either your husband or your dog.
There is therapy for snoring, and sometimes it has to do with your diet, your husband's diet. I'm not sure if he wants to change at all, but
I mean, if you want to take extreme measures, I know that there's some major highways here in Coronado Island, and people will actually use double and triple pane windows on the side that faces the street, and that does seem to cut down traffic noise. But that may be I don't know if that's an issue, or if you can even afford that. That's the question.
And there are white noise machines or apps, or even just on YouTube you can get white noise. I find that those things, those white noise apps and sounds, they are very disturbing to me. They really don't relax me at all.
I like them. I actually find Eckhart Tolle makes me go to sleep.
Yeah, very, very monotone.
I can listen to him for no more than maybe 3.5 to 5 minutes, and I'm out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Tolle.
So what I do is I listen to something that's kind of like interesting, but not interesting enough to keep me awake. So it's engaging
like food labels being recited.
No, when I'm listening to something on YouTube, usually it'll be interesting enough so it's engaging my brain, but it's soft enough, and the voice is mellifluous enough, so it'll be calming. There's this one person I listen to, and I swear he's got like an amazingly comforting, soft, smooth voice.
So it's not me after all.
No, and I've been finding actually been finding myself sometimes when I'm talking to customer service, not always, because oftentimes I'm irate with them, but sometimes the best customer service can really calm you and make you like put you into this space of like
I thought you were going
to.
I thought you were going to say that you were blissing out on the music on hold.
No, it's the voice. It's usually the voice. And so
Hello.
That's what I'm recommending to you, Jean. Find something that you can put your headphones in. And there are the rhythms. I forget what the binaural rhythms. You can use your headphones, and that sort of connects with both hemispheres of your brain. That's also helpful. Baths, or a shower just before bedtime is good. Massaging your feet just before bedtime. These are things that you can do just to calm your nervous system down. And certainly getting off TV and your computer and your phone an hour or two before sleep. But you're talking about disruptions that you can't manage. But these things that I'm suggesting will help you specifically, and the more you can do to help you, the less some of these other things will disturb you.
Or help you get back to sleep more quickly.
Yeah. And there are supplements too. Magnesium will help you. There's a great supplement I use. It's a GABA supplement. You can get it from Designs for Health. They have a product called Stress Arrest. But there are other companies that provide GABA as well. It's a lovely neurotransmitter that we all need, and it has a calming influence.
There are nootropics. I can remember Cortex Labs is one that I kind of like now. I'm picking up a few of theirs. So hopefully that helps, Jean. Jean, you'll be a sleeping machine before you know it. And
yes,
there's a factoid that I put up on one of our clients' sites. He's a chiropractor out in Palm Springs, and we put these little memes together, if you will, of interesting facts. And one of the things that I came upon was that you can survive 14 days without water, but you can only survive 10 days without sleep. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
My little kitty cat woke me up at 6 this morning.
Well, there you go.
He's a little rascal.
A little rascal. The little rascals. You should name him Buckwheat. All right. So we're working our way down the Pacific Coast. This is Antoinette from Bend, Oregon. She says, I walk 2 miles every day, but I still can't lose the extra 20 pounds, sitting mostly around my middle area. What should I do?
Well, you might have a sleep issue too, So
see, Jean. Talk to Jean in Everett, Washington.
You and Jean, we should have this community where you can compare notes and support each other. But yeah, if you've got the middle thing going on, it could be insulin, it could be cortisol, definitely some hormonal shifts. We don't know your age, maybe you're postmenopausal or menopausal. So that often happens during, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausal time, which is a very large, could be a very large amount of time. But yeah, so you want to decrease your stress as much as possible. That is very important, and certainly your diet. We don't know about your diet.
And decrease those cupcakes as much as possible.
Yeah, just like, who was it? Debbie from Dallas. Debbie does Dallas. Debbie does sugar.
Little Debbie's. If Debbie's doing Little Debbie's in Dallas, that could be a problem. So.
Well, I don't know what that means, but
Little Debbie's are little sweet cakes like Hostess.
Oh, Little Debbie's. That. Okay.
Yeah, Little Debbie's. It's a brand.
We don't want to do Little Debbie's, and so we don't know about your diet, but it sounds like you're so committed to getting this exercise. But
2 miles a day is not half bad.
It's good. I remember always, there's a lot of people, weekend warriors, or people who are exercising and then they go out for, not right now, but they'll go out to the bar and they'll drink and they'll eat all this food after pizza and everything like that. So that is sort of counterproductive. You want to be nourishing your body by exercising as well as eating well too. So is it stress? Is it food related? What's going on with you?
Put some more in.
Stress.
I would suggest putting some more info down below. Ask about, just mention what you're currently eating. Do you have certain types of foods? Are you suffering from the sweet tooth that our first questioner asked about. And you can always send us a private message on the Coaching for Health Facebook page, as well as the Total Health Live. Now, you may not, I'm not sure if you're in the Total Health Live membership, Antoinette, but you should ask to join. And we let people in with for additional private types of good content. So
please join. One thing I want to just add, Antoinette, is also portion sizes. You may be eating healthy, but maybe your portion sizes are more than you need. So that's something that can be addressed as well. So call me or contact me at Monika at Coaching for Health.
Call me. We'll do coffee.
At Monika at coachingforhealth.com. And I'll be more than happy to help you. Give you some suggestions.
Koala. Hey, somebody finally from California again. Elise from Thousand Oaks. She says, I shop at regular supermarkets. I think I'm doing okay, but when I hear what some of my friends buy at places like Sprouts, Whole Foods, and Trader Joe's, I wonder, do I really eat the best food available, or could I be doing better?
Yeah, that's a question. So
it is in fact Elisa's question.
Yes. So some of these other marketplaces, they tend to have more organic food and more Mo-Better food.
Mo-Better food?
Mo-Better food, but not necessarily. I mean, we're going to have conventional food in all of these stores and all of the stores, but they tend to be a little more organic and healthful at some of these other stores. Farmers markets are great too. So I would, if you're concerned, I would sort of vary where you shop a little bit and start tasting the food. Tasting the difference, see it that way, try and experiment that way. And, maybe your taste buds are sort of used to one way of a certain type of foods. Like, are you eating a lot of packaged foods at these supermarkets, at these large regular supermarkets? Are you eating the fresh vegetables? So if you want to do this experiment, I would recommend choosing fresh fruits and vegetables and try them. Like, try salad, some greens from one place and some greens from other places, and you'll start tasting the difference.
Yeah, Lisa, I mean, we shop both at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. We've almost never shopped at Sprouts. Now I think about it, I guess it's just not convenient where we live.
You have a Sprouts?
Well, they do exist, but you've got to go across the bridge. God forbid I go across the bridge if I don't want to leave the island. And so,
so we have Sprouts all over. Yeah. So if it's, whatever is convenient for you.
My dad used to refer to all 5 kids as his Sprouts, but that's a different story. But I do find that even in the local grocery stores at Vaughn's, which I guess is owned by Safeway, which was purchased by Albertsons, kind of crazy. The Vaughn's store and even the Smart and Final store locally have pretty significant organic food sections that are reasonably priced. The other thing I would suggest is you can get boxes of organic vegetables delivered to you. And one of my favorite in the East Coast is actually one that my friend John Paduchak, John Paduchak gets something called Misfits. And the Misfit vegetables come, and they are misshapen, the color's slightly off, or
that is
not
so
quite
great.
right. And he gets some amazing deals on boxes of fresh organic vegetables that come to him on a regular basis. So delivery is not always more expensive when it comes to being able to get these things. So.
I had a client just this week tell me about a delivery company called Farm Fresh.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, Farm Fresh, and of course there's Instacart, which you can order from a store. But I also got, but that was prepared meals already from Thistle, and there's many of those prepared meals stores. But Farm Fresh, she just loves the food, and she finds that it's so you're saving money just doing that.
The other option I would suggest to you, Elise, is to check out. There are local organic farms, probably within anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes away from you, maybe even an hour away. And they will actually offer drop-offs at certain locations throughout the area. I know when I was back in DC, we used to get Maine lobsters dropped off at NIH, the National Institute of Health. And
Oh,
so we
that's
would
so
go there.
great.
We'd pick up the lobsters. They were just sent by truck overnight, and we would pick them up. And there are a lot of places that actually will do drop-offs of fresh organic fruits and vegetables that are in season in your area. So you just start doing a few searches locally, talk to a few people. You may find that you may not need Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or those other places. Oh, the other thing is Aldi. My wife Maggie's a Mexican food
Aldo,
blogger.
yeah. I didn't
Aldi,
ever hear those. That
Aldi
place.
is great.
Aldi,
And
Aldi.
Aldi is actually expanding in California now. So you're in Thousand Oaks. I think they plan to put 600 stores into the state of California over the next few years. And they do have a significant amount of organic foods. In fact, their prices are lower for things like organic chicken and some of the other organic vegetables than you would find in some of the major chain stores. And
Are they similar to Trader Joe's?
Similar but different. I think Trader Joe's is a little more shishi than Aldi is, but I find that the organic chicken at Aldi is less expensive than Trader Joe's. So yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I mean, just so the thing about it is, I mean, I have found a number of organic products there. Organic milk is definitely cheaper at Aldi than I found anywhere else. It's I shouldn't say cheaper. They like to use less expensive.
Less expensive.
Because we might pay $3.99 for a half gallon of organic milk here at the Smart and Final. At Vaughn's locally, it might be $4.59, and at Aldi it was $3.39. So there's a substantial price differential at chain stores. So
and also Costco has some organics as well.
Costco is great.
It reminds me one of my first forays into television. I was working for the Consumer Association of Canada, and I did a live broadcast every week. And one of my jobs was to do a grocery price survey for the week. And I would have shoppers go into the different stores, and then they would report back to me what certain things cost. This week, tomatoes, $1.99 a pound at this store, and so on and so on. So that's what that reminded me of. What you just described as the organic.
I'm price conscious to some extent, but just for convenience. If I don't have to drive off the island and I can either walk to a store or just spend 3 minutes driving to a store, I will do that in lieu of going across the bridge to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or places like that. And
so I think we used to hear that more often, price comparisons. We don't hear it very often anymore. But here I wanted to share this with you, Elise, because you're in Thousand Oaks and there are really some great places nearby. Underwood Family Farms, great place. It's in Moore Park. Apricot Lane Farms, they have some great things too. Moranaka Farm. I have no idea where that is, but that's close by as well. I mean, I don't know
that one
very much, but maybe it's a smaller farm. A lot of these farms are also at the farmers markets as well. So, but these are definitely local for you, and you can check those out, as Christopher had mentioned. Lindsay Farms is another place. Moorheart Farm. Just Google it, because that's
not Hickory Farms, Elise. Okay, not Hickory Farms.
No, Tierra Rajada Ranch. So a lot of places. So good luck with that, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and do remember that just because something is at Whole Foods doesn't mean it's good for you. There's a lot of desserts and sugary stuff at both Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, any of these places.
Exactly. Yeah.
So exactly. you can overdo the sugar and carbs in those places. Florida, from California to Florida. Elliot. I was thinking of E.T. Elliot from Tampa asks, he says, I eat pretty healthy, a protein, a vegetable, and a starch that my wife makes me for dinner. Am I missing something?
Usually when I do an intake with an assessment and an intake with a new client, I usually go through a day in a life. And when they get to describing, and when a person gets to describing their dinner, when I hear this term, I eat a vegetable. I have a vegetable. I have a protein. Just exactly how you describe it. And I dissuade them from just focusing on a vegetable. You should have many vegetables. You should have variety, and you should have, most of your plate should be vegetables. Most of your dinner plate should be vegetables. So this, I have a vegetable, have many vegetables and different kinds of vegetables.
But I will say, Elliot, if you're eating 5 small meals a day and you have 5 vegetables, that's not too shabby.
Yeah,
but you're probably not doing that. So.
Yeah, and you know, some people 5 meals a day works, and some people it doesn't work for. So it depends on you and your metabolism and your schedule and all sorts of things. But metabolically, it depends on how you process foods too. So
the interesting, I will tell you one thing.
That's a dinner. He was referring to dinner, though, right?
It was. Oh, it did say dinner, a vegetable for dinner. Well, I mean, if you're having a nice, wonderful, healthy salad for lunch, and you're having a nice, what would you have for breakfast? I guess berries.
You could have avocado. Yeah. You could have spinach in your omelet. You could have onions in your omelet. You can just put anything. And also, people have this idea that, you know, there's breakfast food and then there's the rest. No, breakfast food can be just like the rest of your meals. You can have a piece of fish, aghast. Yes, you have a piece of fish for breakfast.
Well, think of lox and bagels, but throw out the bagels.
I remember my husband, he used to make frittatas all the time. And if we had leftover salmon from the night before, he put it in there and all the vegetables in there. It was delicious. Delicious.
Hello, mother. Hello, father.
Delicious.
Here it is. My breakfast frittata.
Or something. You know what? You know, I love. I'm on this binge right now with poached eggs, having poached eggs, and I usually put fresh dill on them, and it tastes and smells like my mother's summer garden growing up. Oh, it's just divine. I just love it. Fresh dill. Mwah.
So, Elliot, more veggies.
More veggies, more herbs, more spices.
More spices.
Spices don't have to be spicy, by the way. Spices can be, pepper and cilantro and oregano. They're not necessarily spicy.
Okay, we're going to travel slightly northwest of the great state of Florida to Mississippi. And Janet from Leland, Mississippi asks, I was raised eating Southern cooking. Fat and more fat. This is where I get Southern. How can I get off this fat treadmill? I really don't normally eat those things these days, but sometimes, especially when I'm stressed, I automatically go for fried foods.
Glory be.
Sorry, Janet. Janet, you could even be from. I have a friend who lives in Mississippi who's from New York City, and she does not talk like that. So,
well, I know people in New Orleans. They almost sound New Yorkers. Nolans, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, for you, it's fat. For Debbie, it was sugar. For, it's something for everybody. There's some addictive food substance for everybody. So it's not really the food. It's the pattern that we need to address for sure.
Well, you need a pattern interrupt. And so I think that, she says she normally doesn't eat those things these days, but sometimes when she's stressed, she goes to them. So yeah, for some people, they stress out and they go for candy. For some, they go to ice cream. For other people, they may go to Netflix. People like to binge to kind of numb themselves out.
Go to a glass of wine,
a glass of wine.
Go to Amazon shopping.
Some people relax with a cup of coffee. Some people have a bottle of wine and a credit card and go shopping on Amazon. Those are the most dangerous times.
Yeah, that's tricky. So forgive yourself first and foremost, and just move on, and just start the next meal eating clean and healthy.
I mean, like if you Southern foods, I think of collard greens, and often they're fried in bacon fat. So you might want to ditch the bacon and the bacon fat when you're say making greens, that sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, to me, Southern cooking is very challenging because I don't do well with it. Particularly when I was first teaching doctors in South Carolina, was my first encounter in Columbia, South Carolina, was with sweet tea. And they looked at me like I was some sort of a weirdo because I didn't want sugar in my tea.
Yeah, that's
But
a
it was
lot
like,
of sugar. They put a lot of sugar.
it was
in
like
it.
corn syrup with
Yeah,
some tea
yeah.
coloring on it.
It's
And
really what you get used to. I mean, I haven't really been exposed to a lot of Southern cooking at all. I do like New Orleans restaurants, Louisiana restaurants. I love the Cajun and those kinds of foods, but I really haven't been exposed. I mean, everyone grew up with fried chicken. That's a common thing, but the rest, the grits and fried everything.
I like a good crawfish boil. I lived in Houston and we used to have that, which is just like piles of crawfish. That actually is surprising.
Fried?
Piles. No, they were boiled. Boiled crawfish.
Well, that sounds safe. That sounds like a good option.
They were very spicy, but they were, interestingly enough, they were very spicy, but they were low in cholesterol, definitely low in fat.
Yeah.
I mean, so some Southern cooking is not necessarily, drenched in fat or fried. So
go for fresh. Go for lots and lots of vegetables, because the more you have of that, the less room you'll have for the other stuff.
Yeah, and when it comes to okra, I can tell you that slimy stuff doesn't agree with me. So okra may be good for you, but most of the time in the South, I know that you like to fry your okra, and I would say no to that. So
yeah, you don't need to fry okra, but okra in and of itself is really good for your health, for your gut, for your whole stomach lining. So it's very healing. So find other recipes for okra. I know it's plentiful and it's a big favorite down there, but find some. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in Indian cooking, but they make a really nice okra dish as well that is not fried.
Yeah, and if you have any other questions, there's some celebrities like Oprah Winfrey who can help you out. So just popped into my head. Oprah.
I don't know if she has recipes, but you probably in her own magazine, which I think it's changing. It's going online or it's leaving. I'm not sure. I think it's going now to 4 times a year instead of monthly. I think that's
the quarterly magazine, probably better since she's got a whole network going at the same time. So, all right. Well, I think we've gotten through most of our stuff today, and we're good. We're good to go. Any other comments or questions or things that you?
I think it's good. I wish you all well. Happy eating. Happy trails.
Happy end of April. Looking forward to May Day. May
all your wishes come true in May.
And may your Cinco de Mayo, may you go easy on things in terms of cerveza and tacos.
I'll have my avocado, which I just adore. But maybe I'll have some more Mexican food that day. It's coming. It's like next week, right?
It is next week. You can look forward to Cinco de Mayo on Wednesday. Hump Day. Cinco de Mayo Hump Day. All right. We'll be back next week. Remember, if it is 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on a Friday, it's time for Total Health Live. All right.
Time for Total Health Live. See you. Have a great week.
Be good.
Be good.